Welcome. Today we're going to continue on in solving our trigonomic equations. So go ahead and take your notes out and we'll get going. Remember, pause the video if you fall behind, or rewind the video if you didn't understand something the first time. Sometimes it takes a couple times through to see or understand the concept. All right, let's begin. We have our equation 2 sine squared x plus 3 cosine x minus 3 is equal to 0. And in solving, the first thing I notice is we're in the quadratic form. We have a power of 2. But I also notice I have two different trig functions. I have sines and cosines. So our first goal in solving is try to rewrite this into one trig function. And because sine is squared, the easiest way to change a sine to a cosine or cosine to a sine is using our Pythagorean identities. So I can rewrite this equation with a substitution as 2. Now I'm going to substitute out the sine squared. So sine squared is also equal to 1 minus cosine squared x, and that's a Pythagorean identity. And the rest of the equation I'll just bring straight down. So our first step is to take the sine squared and rewrite it with the equivalent Pythagorean identity of 1 minus cosine squared. Alright, before we get into the solving piece, we're going to have to distribute the 2 and combine any like terms, so we're going to simplify. So 2 times 1 is 2, so that's 2 minus 2 cosine squared x plus 3 cosine x. So the rest of the equation I'm just bringing down. And now I'm going to combine our 2 and our negative 3. So one more time, I have negative 2 cosine squared x plus 3 cosine x, and 2 minus 3 is negative 1. Okay, we're almost ready to solve using some factoring techniques, but I don't like my leading term negative, so I'm going to go ahead and pull out the negative. So factoring out a negative, I'm left with 2 cosine squared x. This becomes a minus 3 cosine of x plus 1. And that's equal to 0. So now let's factor inside the parentheses. So using my factoring technique, I'm going to go first coefficient times a constant. So 2 times 1 is 2. And I want factors of 2 that add up to sorry, got confused there. Factors of 2 that add up to our middle term, which is negative 3. Okay, those are the factors I'm looking for are negative 2 and negative 1. They multiply to positive 2 and add up to negative 3. And remember, we always divide through by our leading term, which is 2. So this becomes negative 1/2, and this simplifies to negative 1. So our factors are going to be cosine x minus 1, and remember, we never have our denominator goes to the front of our expression, so that becomes 2 cosine of x minus 1. So that is our 1/2. Okay, now we're ready to solve. So we're going to take each factor, set it equal to 0, and solve and see what we have. So we have cosine x minus 1. As we set that equal to 0, we can solve it and say, hey, cosine x is equal to positive 1. So cosine of what angle equals positive 1? That's where x is equal to 0. So cosine of 0 is the only spot that evaluates to 1. So we have our first solution. And because we are not in a specified interval, we have to get our general form, which is 2 pi n. So there's our first solution. Okay, our second solution, we're going to set our other parenthesis equal to 0 and solve. That means cosine x will be, if we add 1 divided by 2, it's 1/2. So where is cosine equal to positive 1/2? Well, that's when x is equal to pi over 3. So our quadrant 1. And cosine is also positive in quadrant 4. That would be our 5 pi over 3. Because again, we don't have our specified interval, we have to get our general form. So we have to tack on our 2 pi in to get all our solutions. Okay, we just solved our equation using a Pythagorean substitution to rewrite it all to one variable, and then we used factoring techniques. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure you jot them down and we'll answer them when I get back to class. Thank you.